Andrew was taken aback as Titan, the giant German shepherd he had raised from a playful puppy, growled at him. The two had always shared a close bond, but today something was different. Titan stood between Andrew and his booth, his lip curled in a warning growl, blocking the kennel door as if protecting something sacred inside. Confused but not wanting to escalate the situation, Andrew stepped to the side, the snow crunching beneath his feet. Titan immediately ceased his growling. "What's wrong, buddy?" Andrew murmured softly, trying to understand what had provoked Titan's defensive stance. He watched as Titan wagged his tail and then came over to nuzzle Andrew, seeking comfort and affection. Thinking the confrontation had passed, Andrew cautiously moved to approach the kennel again. But just like before, Titan positioned himself between Andrew and the entrance, adopting a protective posture once more. Andrew sighed, scratching his head in puzzlement. He couldn't fathom what could be causing Titan's unusual behavior, but he decided to respect his dog's instincts and let the matter rest for now. As he walked back to the house through the snow-covered yard, Andrew mulled over the strange encounter. This all began last summer when he, an avid carpenter, had spent weeks crafting a magnificent kennel for Titan. The structure boasted a porch and ample room inside, designed to shield Titan from the winter snows that were now beginning to fall as predicted. Titan had quickly claimed the kennel as his own, rearranging the blankets Andrew had laid out and enjoying his meals on the porch Andrew had built. In Andrew's eyes, Titan had become the most pampered dog in all of Baltimore, if not the entire United States. That evening, peering through his bedroom curtains, Andrew spotted Titan lying on the kennel's porch, head resting on paws, ears perked up as if on alert. A light snow was falling, casting a serene blanket over the landscape. Andrew checked one last time before bed. Titan hadn't budged, which struck him as odd. At sunrise, Andrew returned to the kennel. Overnight, fresh snow had added a layer of purity to the already white landscape. Titan sprang up at Andrew's approach, but as Andrew attempted to pass him to reach the kennel's entrance, Titan intervened once more, his expression imploring Andrew not to proceed. With each attempt to access the kennel, Titan's warning growl grew more pronounced. Andrew was baffled by Titan's insistence on keeping him away from whatever lay inside. Puzzling over Titan's behavior, Andrew decided to take action. Hurrying into the kitchen, Andrew retrieved a slab of raw steak from the fridge and began slicing it into enticing cubes, Titan's favorite treat. Armed with the bowl of chopped steak, Andrew returned to Titan's booth. True to form, Titan greeted him eagerly, but Andrew knew convincing Titan to follow him to the kitchen would be a challenge. Setting the bowl down, Andrew knelt beside Titan, offering the delicious treat. Titan hesitated, torn between guarding his booth and indulging in the tempting morsels. Finally, unable to resist, Titan followed Andrew into the kitchen, his eyes fixed on the bowl of steak. Andrew smiled as Titan eagerly devoured the steak, savoring each bite. This was phase 1 of his plan, a success. Now, Andrew prepared for phase 2, gently guiding Titan out of the kitchen and closing the door behind him. In the booth, Titan soon realized he had been tricked. He barked urgently, scratching at the door to be let back in, but Andrew remained resolute. From inside the house, Andrew could hear Titan's protests, his loyal companion displeased with being separated. Andrew glanced out the window toward Titan's booth. His heart twinged with guilt for deceiving Titan, yet he knew he had to uncover the mystery that had driven Titan to such protective behavior. Steeling himself, Andrew ventured back outside toward the booth, his mind racing with curiosity and concern for what he might discover inside. Andrew knelt down, his knees sinking slightly into the snow, and gently coaxed Titan closer. He scratched behind Titan's ears, the dog's tail wagging furiously in response. With a playful grin, Andrew then retrieved the bowl of freshly chopped steak from behind his back and held it out for Titan to sniff. Titan's reaction was immediate and intense. His entire demeanor changed in an instant. Excitement radiated from him like a palpable force. His nostrils flared as he took in the tantalizing aroma of the steak, his eyes fixated on the bowl in Andrew's hand. Andrew couldn't help but chuckle softly at Titan's enthusiasm. But when Andrew began to walk away, the bowl still in hand, Titan hesitated. This was not the usual routine. Normally, treats were delivered right to his booth, where he could enjoy them in familiar surroundings. Now, Andrew was asking him to follow into the kitchen, and Titan was torn. He glanced back at his booth with a soft whine, clearly unsure whether to abandon his safe haven for the promise of a delicious treat. After a moment's hesitation, Titan made his decision. Rationalizing that a brief excursion to the kitchen was worth the reward of steak, he bounded after Andrew, his large paws crunching through the snow as he followed his owner indoors. Inside the warm kitchen, Andrew crouched down again, Titan close by his side. The dog's excitement hadn't waned. If anything, it had intensified as he watched Andrew place the bowl in a corner of the room. Andrew made a fuss of Titan once more, marveling at how the dog seemed to savor each bite of the steak rather than gobbling it down in a rush like many dogs would. Watching Titan eat had always fascinated Andrew. The German Shepherd approached his food with a deliberate enjoyment, as though each mouthful was a treasured experience. Andrew smiled to himself, pleased that part one of his plan had gone off without a hitch. Slowly rising to his feet, Andrew backed away from Titan, keeping a close watch on the dog's reaction. Titan, engrossed in his meal, paid Andrew no mind as he exited the kitchen, quietly closing the door behind him. Phase 2 of his plan was now in motion. Unbeknownst to Andrew, inside the kitchen, Titan had quickly caught on to the ruse. The moment the door clicked shut behind Andrew, Titan's earlier excitement turned to agitation. He barked sharply, then scratched urgently at the door, whining loudly to be let out. Andrew remained steadfast, ignoring Titan's pleas as he made his way toward the lounge. From the large windows of the lounge, Titan could see his booth outside, and he watched Andrew's approach with growing distress. Unable to contain his frustration, Titan barked even louder, jumping up against the window as if trying to reach Andrew and convey his displeasure. Andrew turned at the sound of Titan's cries, meeting the dog's resentful gaze through the window. He couldn't shake the feeling of unease at having tricked Titan into the house and then closing him off. It felt like a betrayal of their bond, built over years of companionship since Titan was a playful puppy. Nevertheless, Andrew knew he had to resolve the mystery of what Titan was guarding so fiercely inside his booth. There was no other way to understand Titan's behavior. With a determined sigh, Andrew pressed onward toward the kennel. Approaching the booth, Andrew braced himself as Titan's agitation reached a fever pitch. The dog's initial excitement had given way to a frantic protectiveness, snarling and growling with a vigor that surprised Andrew. Undeterred, Andrew knelt down once more, his hands and knees sinking into the soft snow, and cautiously peered into the dimly lit interior. Inside the booth, Andrew caught a whiff of the familiar doggy scent mingled with something else, something unexpected. He squinted against the dim light, reaching out to grasp a corner of Titan's blanket. As he pulled gently, Andrew was met with a sudden fierce hiss that echoed through the enclosed space, startling him. For a moment, Andrew froze, his heart racing. The unexpected sound had taken him by surprise. He hesitated, uncertain of what he might uncover next inside Titan's carefully guarded sanctuary. Andrew's heart pounded in his chest as he instinctively jumped back from the unexpected hiss echoing from inside Titan's booth. His mind raced, considering the possibilities. A snake? In the dead of winter? Unlikely. Yet, the aggression of the hiss left him wary, holding his forearm up defensively as he cautiously approached once more. Slowly, deliberately, Andrew reached out again, this time gripping the edge of Titan's blanket with a mixture of trepidation and curiosity. As he pulled the blanket back, the air filled with another, louder hiss that seemed to pierce the quiet of the snowy surroundings. Undeterred, Andrew pushed forward, peering into the dimly lit interior of the booth. In the subdued light, Andrew's eyes adjusted to the gloom, and there, amidst the folds of Titan's familiar blanket, he saw movement, a raccoon. His initial confusion gave way to awe as he realized the mother raccoon was not alone. Nestled around her were several small kits, their tiny forms barely visible in the low light. Andrew counted them silently, his surprise growing with each new discovery. One, then two, and soon he had identified 6 young raccoons, huddled together for warmth and protection. It dawned on Andrew in a rush of understanding. The mother raccoon had sought refuge here, in Titan's booth, to give birth during the onset of late winter's snow. Titan, ever the gentle giant, had not only allowed the raccoons into his space, but had assumed the role of their steadfast guardian. His protective instincts extended beyond Andrew himself to encompass this makeshift family, standing watch over them with a loyalty that touched Andrew deeply. A smile tugged at the corners of Andrew's mouth as he realized the depth of Titan's sacrifice. In the days that followed, Andrew took it upon himself to ensure the raccoon family had a safe haven nearby. He crafted a snug shelter for them, carefully insulated against the biting cold, and stocked it with soft bedding to keep them warm. Reflecting on it all, Andrew couldn't help but marvel at the unexpected bond that had formed, a testament to Titan's generosity and the resilience of the raccoon family. In a world often defined by boundaries and divisions, their story stood as a poignant reminder of compassion and coexistence, where a loyal dog and a wary raccoon found common ground amidst the falling snow.